You said nothing physical happened, but you still hid the messages. So did it count?
Is emotional cheating really cheating?
Yeah, emotional cheating can absolutely be cheating. It's not less real just because it wasn't physical. What usually makes it a betrayal is things like secrecy, emotional intimacy being redirected outside the relationship, romantic or sexual tension, hiding messages, comparing the partner to the other person, or giving someone else access to parts of you that were protected for the relationship. You know, that doesn't mean every close relationship is cheating, but if it had secrecy, attachment, longing, flirting, or you knew your partner would feel hurt if they told the full truth, it likely crossed the line. And if you're the one who crossed it, accountability matters more than debating the actual label. What part are you trying to sort out? Whether what happened counts or how to talk about it with your partner?
Both, I guess.
That makes sense. And I want to be careful here. The label matters, but the impact matters more. A good starting point is this. If there was secrecy, romantic or sexual energy, emotional dependence, hiding, deleting, minimizing, or choosing that connection over honesty with your partner, then it likely belongs in the category of betrayal, even if nothing physical happened. For talking to your partner, the goal is not to argue it down into something smaller. It's to be honest, clear, and accountable without dumping unnecessary detail all at once. Something like this. Hey, I crossed the boundary emotionally with someone else. I understand that this is a betrayal, even if it wasn't physical. I don't want to minimize it or make excuses. I want to be honest with you and answer your questions truthfully. Before we shape what to say, I need to understand the situation a little bit. What happened between you and the other person that makes you wonder if it was emotional cheating?
Well, I just felt some attraction to a coworker lately and had long conversations with her a couple of times, I guess.
Feeling attraction by itself is not the same as cheating. Attraction can happen even in committed relationships. The concern is what you do with it. Long conversations with a coworker can still be harmless, or they can start becoming emotional cheating if they're private, emotionally intimate, flirtatious, something you look forward to in a way that pulls you away from your partner, or something you'd feel uncomfortable with your partner reading or knowing about. So I'd slow this down before labeling it too quickly. Were these conversations something you hid or downplayed to your partner?
Well, I did not really mention them to my partner. I suppose they were a bit emotionally intimate.
I see. That's an important admission. Not mentioning them doesn't automatically mean you had an affair, but combined with emotionally intimate and attraction, it does mean this is no longer neutral. It's at least a boundary warning and possibly already a betrayal depending on what was shared and whether secrecy was part of the pool. The accountable move now is not to keep testing the line. It's to create distance, stop private, emotionally intimate conversations, and be honest with yourself about what you were getting from that connection. One key question for you is, if your partner heard or read those conversations, would they feel betrayed?
Yeah, probably yes. I'm definitely uncomfortable mentioning it.
That discomfort is telling, not because you're bad, but because part of you knows this crossed into protected relationship territory. I treat this as a boundary breach now, before it becomes something more damaging. The next right steps are simple, not easy. 1. Stop private emotionally intimate conversations with the coworker. 2. Keep contact professional and unnecessary. Number 3. Don't feed the attraction with extra attention, inside jokes, venting, or personal disclosure. And last, number 4. Don't rewrite this as nothing, just because it wasn't physical. About telling your partner, honesty matters, but how you do it matters too. You don't need to panic confess in a messy way, but you also shouldn't hide behind technicalities. A grounded version you could share could be, I need to tell you something uncomfortable. I've noticed attraction towards a coworker, and I allowed a couple of conversations to become more emotionally intimate than they should have. Nothing physical happened, but I can see that I crossed the boundary by not protecting our relationship. I'm going to keep that relationship strictly professional. That owns it without exaggerating or minimizing. Would you like help deciding whether to tell your partner now or how to set the boundary with the coworker first?
But if I stop talking to the coworker, why do I still need to tell my partner?
That's a fair question. Stopping the behavior is necessary, but it doesn't fully address the secrecy. You may need to tell your partner because the issue isn't only, will it continue? It's also, did I allow something meaningful to happen outside the relationship that my partner would reasonably expect to know about? Not telling can become a second layer of betrayal if you know your partner would feel hurt by it. You're hiding it mainly to avoid consequences. The emotional intimacy crossed the relationship boundary, or future work contact could make the omission more complicated. That said, disclosure should be thoughtful, not impulsive. The purpose is not to relieve your guilt or dump every detail. It's to restore honesty and give your partner reality-based trust. A useful test is, am I withholding this to protect my partner or to protect myself? If it's mostly to protect yourself, that's usually a sign honesty is needed. What are you most afraid would happen if you told your partner?
I'm not sure, but I'm scared to think about it, honestly.
That fear makes sense. Telling the truth can feel like stepping toward pain you can't control. But fear alone isn't a reliable guide. Sometimes it says, don't hurt them. Sometimes it says, don't let me face consequences. Those are very different. For now, don't force yourself into a dramatic confession or into hiding. Slow down and get honest with yourself first. What exactly crossed the line? What did you get from those conversations? Have you fully stopped feeding the connection? Are you willing to accept your partner's reaction without defending or minimizing? If you do tell, the safest tone is calm, accountable, and brief, not over-explaining. One question for you. When you imagine telling your partner, what is the worst outcome you're picturing?
I guess a bad reaction, a big fight, maybe damaging my reputation.
That's a very human fear, especially the reputation part, but I want to gently separate the two things. Your partner's pain reaction is not something you can fully control, and also your integrity from here forward is something you can control. If you only stay silent to avoid a fight or protect your image, that can keep the relationship standing on incomplete truth. And if it later comes out another way, the damage is usually worse because then the issue becomes both the boundary crossing and the concealment. That said, disclosure should be done in the safest, calmest way possible, not during conflict, not defensively, and not with unnecessary details. Before we talk wording, is there any risk your partner could become physically unsafe toward you or anyone else if you told them?
No, I don't think so.
I hear you. Because safety is even a small question mark here, I need to pause the coaching for a moment. RenuuAI isn't qualified to handle crisis, violence, risk, or emergency situations. If there's any chance someone could become physically unsafe, please prioritize immediate human support, be near a safe person, avoid being alone for the conversation, and contact local emergency services if danger may exist. Are you in immediate danger of being hurt, or of anyone else being hurt right now?
No, not at all. Don't worry about it.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. I'll take you at your word that there is no immediate safety concern. Given what you shared, I'd frame this less as, I had an affair, and more as, I noticed attraction, I allowed a boundary to get blurry, and I'm correcting it. That kind of honesty can actually protect the relationship, especially if you say it before it grows, before there's more secrecy, and before your partner finds out in a worse way. You don't need to overconfess or make it sound bigger than it was, but you also shouldn't minimize it. A calm version could be like this. I want to tell you something because I don't want to hide it. I've noticed some attraction toward a coworker, And I had a couple of conversations that became more emotionally personal than they should have. Nothing physical happened, and I'm not pursuing it. I'm going to keep things strictly professional because I want to protect us. Then stop talking and let your partner react. Would you like help making that sound more like your own words? Whether you were betrayed or unfaithful, you don't have to process this alone.